Hello everybody, my name is Cool Blue and I'm bringing out this video of me playing a board game, or talking about some board games. This is going to be part of the Small Box Big Game series. This is going to be the third game in the Series 1 for the Nano 9 games. I've done a video and review, playthrough and review on Railways and City Planner, and now Empire is going to be up to bat. Let me go get our background music started so I don't forget. We're going to play something a little bit different because, you know, don't want to hear the same things all the time. So cool, we got that going. Hope it's not too loud there. We'll get a little bit louder as we go. So as far as this game goes, this game is called Empire, and Empire is a kind of an engine building, point converting style game. I guess it's capitalism, the board game, if you want to call it that way. And the whole entire goal of this game is for me to score the most victory points over the course of 16 rounds. The rulebook says 15, but if you look at the counter, it starts at 0, goes to 30, and you play 0, and you also play 30, so technically it's 16. And the designer has said so on the forums, which I checked over just to make sure I don't miss anything, that yes, in fact, there are actually 16 rounds in this 15-round game. So I thought it was a little funny, but just kind of throwing a little bit of flavor into that one. So over the course of 16 rounds, we're going to try to score the most points, and points are tracked as profit, which is over here. And I will be trying to do that by converting my resources that I develop over here, which the three different type of resources I have are capital, which is yellow, materials, which is the red, commodities, which is the orange, and then finally goods, which is the blue. And I'll be converting those into victory points by using the market over here at a certain phase in the game to make points. I'll also be earning points at the end of the game by having buildings fully staffed, and by that I mean this dice here represents how many people are staffed in a particular building, and I want to have this fully staffed. So for instance, this building, which is the warehouse, or the T warehouse, I need at least three for that to be considered fully staffed, and then I'll be able to get 6 victory points at the end of the game. And those are the two ways for me to score points in this game. Double check, make sure it's not the third. Yeah, so it's just those two. It's just whatever I have over here converted into points, and then also the points that I get from having fully built buildings or fully staffed buildings. And that's kind of the gist of the game. The game plays over the course, this is a one-player game, I should have mentioned that earlier, but the game plays over the course of 3 different phases, as typical with these games in this series 1 at least. And those 3 different phases are to essentially set the market up, and then after I set the market, I take my actions, and the actions taking my actions happen in a few different parts, and then finally doing the upkeep record time passed. Record time passed. Reading is essential. So I do the upkeep, and then I do the record keeping, and then we move on to the next round. And we'll essentially do that for, as I said before, 16 rounds. There are certain markers here on the board here. That's a little bit hard to see in the overview. I try to make it a little bit clearer, but outside of zooming in, which I'm not going to do, that's the best I can get it. But on this card here, actually, let me do it this way. On this card here, we have our little markers, and these markers represent different things in the game. So when I get to the end of those rounds, there's going to be certain things that are going to trigger. Let me double check, make sure it's the end and not the beginning. It might be the beginning. Nope, it says end. At the end of the round, certain things will happen. So this one, if I have a building that is overstaffed, as in if a building needs 3 workers and it has 4 or 5 or 6, then I will have to do a certain thing, pay a penalty essentially. And on this one, I'll have to pay for my buildings that I have existing. I have to pay half the building cost, or sorry, 2 resources from the building cost. That'll make more sense as I explain the game a little bit later. But essentially, this is what our track is. There's also a B-side, which has a different kind of shakeup of how things play out. I'm just going to play on the A side and keep things simple, but that is kind of what we're looking at over here. So that is that. The market track over here has a victory point counter, because we can go above 40 victory points. I have not done that in a game that I played. Actually, I take it back. I have done that in a game I played, but I may or may not get more than 40 victory points. If I do, then I'll rotate the market card instead of moving this around it to kind of keep track. But currently, this is keeping track of my first 40 points and so on and so forth. Over here, we have our central factory. This is normally upright, but because of space restrictions regarding how I'm recording this and how I set this up, I'm going to keep this on the side like so. But on the central factory, I'll keep it upright for our explanation. On our central factory, we have the 4 different type of resources. I don't know if I said 3 earlier, but we have the 4 different type of resources on this side over here. And those resources are capital, which is the yellow. And then we have the blue, which is goods. And then we have materials, which is the red. And then we have commodities, which is the orange. And I will start with a set amount of these things at the beginning of the game to kind of get me started, get me going. I will also start with a staffing die at 6 on the central factory. And this one, I need 4 people to make the central factory functional, but I start with a staffing of 6. And then I have a manager's die, which is special for the central factory, that allows me to get some extra abilities during the game that I can kind of use once per turn type situation. So that's that. This die over here is going to be rolled to set the market. And that's kind of the overview of what we're looking at. So the different arenas we have are my play area for my building, which is going to be all this over here. Then we have the buildings that I can build. There are 6 different buildings that I can possibly build during the entire game, and they're going to be laid out over here. These buildings would typically be laid out in a row format like so. But as I mentioned before, for space reasons, I have them stacked the way I have them stacked. And this is important because if I were to build a building, like let's suppose that I built this building here. So we're going to note what position it is, and I'll show you the card so we can get a preview of the anatomy of a card. If I were to build this building here, it would require me to pay from my various factories, from my various resources that I have, 3 blue resource, 1 orange resource, and 1 yellow resource. Assuming that I have paid that, assuming that I'm able to pay that, what happens is that this building is going to go into my central board, which I'll move there in a second. But I want to focus in on this card here. I'm going to move it over to my central board, and I'm going to put this die here, representing that it has 1 starting worker on it. And that 1 starting worker means that this building is not functional. This building will not be functional until I have at least 3 workers on it. So I need to, throughout the course of the game, throughout my actions, increase this to eventually get to 3 or more. And then the factory will get a cube like so, and it'll start being able to produce resources per the rules of resource production. An additional thing that we see on this is we see the victory point count over here, which is how many victory points I'll get at the end of the game if I have it fully built, as I mentioned before. And finally, we will also see this little section up here with this small little bit of information. It has 3 pieces of information. One is the year 24 to 30, so that corresponds to the victory point track over here, or the round counter over here. So if we're between the years of 24 and 30, and something happens that triggers this particular event, then it'll happen. I guess to be more correct, let me zoom back out to our overview. To be more correct here, what actually happens is if I were to build this building, like so, then this building's effect is what's triggered. So if I'm to build this building here, then the building to the right of it is the one where I will check the event to see if the event triggers. It's going to be a little bit, it's not that confusing. It's just, it took me a while to actually understand that because I kept looking at the card I was building to see its events, and I was very much not correct. So let me bring these 2 cards into our overview so we can get a closer look at them. So looking over here at our zoom in, I'm building this card. So let's say I pay the resources, and then I will check this card for its event, and it tells me the year range to look for. So I'm gonna bring my track back over here, and if I'm between the years of 4 and 10, then this event triggers. If I am not between those years, as in if I'm earlier than those years or later than those years, then this event is just ignored. If the event triggers, then we do the text that's on the event. There's a title for the event, which is the second piece of information, and the third piece of information is the actual event itself. And we'll do the effects of the event, which can be good, can be bad, depends on what I'm trying to do. Generally speaking, I'm going to try to dodge all the events that happen on the year things because they seem to not be good overall. So I'm just going to keep it simple and just try to avoid them. But that's going to impact my decision on what I build, how I build, when I build it, and if I do actually want to build it. So that's kind of how all that goes. So that is how the board usually set up, like I said, because I'm trying to save space here. I'm putting my buildings like so and keep them like that. That way they can all just kind of fit neatly on the board and give me the maximum amount of space to spread out from here. Another thing that I mentioned is that if I were to legally build this building, I will have to place it in my factory. So the way I place it in a factory is there's these arrows that are on the card, which I'll bring back into our zoom in. There's these arrows on the card, and essentially I have to point from my central factory or from an existing factory, and the arrows have to point kind of in the correct directions. So this arrow here means that something can point to it, and this will point to two other things. And that's going to greatly impact how I build things, where I build things. So of course I have to keep the proper orientation for all the cards, because normally this would be upright, but because I'm putting it sideways, it's going to be sideways for now. And as you can see, I'm allowed to put this building here and really only here if I were to build it. And then this will allow me to build like this building later on and put it here because it has the arrow going in the correct direction. Or I can put it here because the central factory has an arrow going in all directions, and so on and so forth. One of the biggest restrictions on this is that if I were to ever place a building, if I were to ever place a building anywhere else, the arrows have to make sense. So what I mean by that is that in order for me to build this building, assuming I paid for the cost and assuming everything else is built, I would need to have an arrow pointing to it, which that's correct, but this here is incorrect. So because this is incorrect, this means that this building cannot be put there. So that is a thing that I have to be very, very, very cognizant of. It's going to affect and impact what I put where and why I might build something over something else. And also it's going to affect what resource I have access to, because these buildings, these factories produce a specific resource. Again, going back to our zoom in to go back over the cards. This here is this building, once it's fully staffed, will start producing capital. This building, once it's fully staffed, will start producing the blue stuff. So that's how that works. Right. Pretty simple. Probably didn't need to zoom in for that one, but I just wanted to because I could. And that's all of that. So let's go ahead and talk about another important rule, which is when you actually do build a thing and produce stuff. So let me see what I can legally build. Let's assume that the game is going and I'm going to build a building without considering the consequences of it. Let's say I want to build this building here, the boot and shoe works. In order for me to do so, it will cost me 1 blue resource, 2 orange resource, and 2 yellow resources. I look upon my entire factory, which currently is just a central factory, and I see that I have the resources necessary. I'm going to spend the 2 yellow, so 1, 2. I'm going to spend the 2 orange, so 1, 2, so down to 0. I'm going to spend the 1 blue, so 1. And now I have paid for that building. I'm going to take the building, and I'm going to do the placement. So this building will have to have an arrow pointing to it. So this is the only spot it can go. No rotation of cards as I mentioned before. And now that that's done, I built this building here. So I check this building here for the event. The years are 14 to 20. I check my round track and I'm on year 0. So therefore it doesn't do anything. There is no event that happens. I'm done checking and I move on to the next part of taking my turn. And then from there, I will essentially be able to, this die will show up on it. And then from there, I'll go into my production phase and then continue the game as normal. So assuming that that's our turn 1, we're gonna go ahead and turn 2, and we're gonna go ahead and play a full turn 2, and then I'll explain the rest of the phasing. So I mentioned before, part 2 or phase 2 of this is taking my actions. So let me go ahead and just go through the full stack, starting with number 1, which here is set the market die. So set the market die. What set the market die means is I'm going to roll this dice, or roll that die, and that die is going to tell me what the market's going to have. So I rolled a 5, it's going to go over here on the 5, and as you can see, that corresponds to a certain set of tracks here, a certain set of things. It shows me that it shows me a 3 orange, a 1 red, and a 1 blue. What that means is that during the first phase of taking my actions, I will have the option to sell resources for capital and or profit. So when I sell resources for capital and or profit, that allows me to basically convert resources I have here in my factories into victory points. That's what that means. Oh, sorry. Capital or profit, yeah. So I can either get it as yellow that I can track over here, or any other factor that has yellow, or I can track it over here as victory points. So just to be clear, making sure I said the correct thing. In this example, I can, during this particular phase, if I decide to take the action, I can choose to convert 1 red into either 1 victory point, which means it's stuck over there and I can't do anything with it, or I can convert it into 1 yellow like so. And then subsequently, if I wanted to spend 3 orange, which I cannot, but if I wanted to spend 3 orange, that gives me 1 either victory point or 1 yellow resource. So it basically allows me to determine if I want victory points now or if I want money or capital to do things things with later. And that's going to be important. It's going to be very important to keep track of. The second action that I can take, and these are all in order. The second action I can take is to hire and or move workers. So hire and or move workers essentially is what it says it is. I can either hire a worker, and the cost for that is for me to just increment a worker. Yep, so increment a worker like so. So I can either hire a worker like so, or I can move workers. Oh, sorry, it says and or additionally, you may also subtract any amount of workers on one die and add it to an adjacent building. So I could decide to hire a worker here, like that, and then also reduce this by one worker to increase this by one worker, because I'm transporting them across the railroad. Now, one thing that's important about this is that the worker transference is one-way directional, meaning that I can transfer workers from the central factory to the boots and shoe works, but I cannot go from the boot and shoe works over to the central factory because the arrow goes in one direction. So that's very important to note. And I think there's an additional thing. Let me double check the rules. Yeah, there's an additional thing that the building or the people that I transfer go to an adjacent work spot. So if I had, let's say I had this building down here and I wanted to transfer a worker from here down to there, I would need to first, during the first round, or during round one in this example, transfer somebody to here, and then I could transfer the person on the next round from there to there. So that's going to be important because there are some penalties that can come up if I don't have my timing correct. So I got to be very, very cognizant and very careful of that. The next kind of action that I can take, oh, sorry, let me keep my example up here. I don't know why I broke that down. So let's say this is fully staffed and I now have a cube there. The next action that I can take is I can choose to build a building and trigger an event. That's the second action. That's action C that I can take in this turn order or phasing order. And if I do decide to build a building and trigger an event, that's essentially just build a building like I talked about before, pay the resources, and then I check to the right of the card to see if the event will trigger. So in this case, if I choose the last one in the row, because remember, these cards are normally all lined up, with this being card number 1, this being card number 3, this being card number 4, this being card number 6 in the row. If I am to take this card, then I would check the card to the right of it, which will end up wrapping around to make this card. And this card tells me, so if I'm to build this one, this card tells me to check for 6 to 12. We're on year 2, so this wouldn't trigger, so that'd be fine. So that is build a building and also trigger the event. And then the next action that I could take during my turn could be to produce resources and or capital. So producing resources and or capital, this is the one that I most want to talk about because it took me a little bit to understand it. As with, I guess, a lot of board games, it takes me a little bit to fully understand what's going on. So let's assume that I built this, and let's assume that this is fully staffed, and let's also assume, we're making a lot of assumptions here, let's also assume that I have built this, and don't worry, I'm going to reshuffle all these and reinitialize the game, so it's okay that things are getting moved around. And let's assume that this has 2 people on it, currently. So this is what our board state looks like, and we're going into our production phase, and I decided to do a produce, resources and or capital. What I would do is I would look at the buildings that I have, and I would go resource by resource. So we have 4 resources, and for every building that produces that type of resource, I generate that many of the thing for each building. So again, for every building that produces that kind of resource, then I generate that many resources for each building. So it's a little bit confusing as how I said that, but let's start with the capital. It's pretty simple. I have 1 building producing yellow resource, so that means that I will get a total of 1 on this track. If you look at the blue resource, that's a lot different. I have 1, 2, 3 buildings producing blue resources, so therefore every single one of my buildings produces 3 blue resources. So as you can see, if I kind of build a lot of the same thing, then I can get a whole bunch of things and start converting that later on for the market, and that'll be a thing for me to keep track of. Moving on to the brown resource, I have 1 building producing brown resources. Technically I have 2, but this one's not fully staffed because I need 4 people here. Therefore, it is not producing yet, so therefore brown only produces 1. And then finally, the red building only have 1 of those, and it produces 1 resource, and then that's my production. So that is that Now, before we go on to the next phase, which is the manager, or the last thing, the last little technical thing, was the manager die up here. I do want to go back and backtrack and say that when I take those actions, I have kind of a cost associated with those actions, and I will show us the rule book here because it'll explain it better than what I can probably verbalize, and I'll just read it from there. So looking at our rule book over here, we see some text down here for our actions that we take. So the first action that I take every round is free. The second action that I take costs $1 or 1 yellow. The third action that I take every round costs 2 yellow. And the fourth action I take every round costs 4 yellow. So if I want to take a bunch of actions, if I want to have an action-rich turn, then I need to make sure I have a lot of capital to do so. And capital, again, is the yellow resource that is tracked over here, this yellow track. So I want to try to get a lot of capital if I want to take a bunch of actions. So that is an important thing to note. So using the example that I did, if I decided to not do any conversions over here, and then I decided to, on my second one, I decided to do the hire worker, that will be a free action for me to do. And if I decided to also build a building, I will have to pay $1 first, 1 yellow first, and then pay the resources for the card afterwards. And then if I decided to do a third action of producing resources, I would need to pay $2 first and then generate resources. So that is important to know, that if I do more actions in a round, it's going to cost me a certain amount of money, it's going to cost me a certain amount of resources, and I got to be very mindful of that as far as managing my resources. Now the last thing to talk about is this manager die. This manager die, essentially how it works is I can, at any time during my take actions phase, so at any time when I have the option to use the market, when I have options to hire workers, when I have options to build a building, or when I have options to produce resources, I can choose to, as a free thing to do, as long as I have pips on this die, I can choose to decrease this die by 1, and then take an additional special action. Now these special actions can only be used once per turn, and in order to use a manager die, once I use a manager die, I will be able to add a material. Let me explain that better. The manager die, if I want to use it, I had to pay capital equal to the current market die. So if the capital or the market die is at 5, I would need to pay $5 to use my manager die. If the market die is up to 2 or is rolled at 2, then that means it'll cost me 2 yellow dollars to play my manager die. So as a result of that, I probably only want to use my manager when the market die is on 1 or 2, maybe 3, and anything higher than that might be unreasonable, depending on what my resources look like. But the benefit of using this, so let's say this is what our board state looks like. We rolled a 2 over there, and I'm about to do my my little manager die over here. And this is before let's assume that this is board state is before I produce resources. So I've done 2 actions, and I'm planning on doing the action of producing resources. And this is what my board state currently looks like with the 2 over the market die. I can, before I do my production, I can decide that I'm going to spend the $2, 1, 2, and I'm going to reduce this manager die by 1, and then I have the option to do one of these 3 different actions. And these 3 different actions are pretty neat. They're going to be pretty good for me to try to take advantage of, so I can actually get some good benefits and maybe chain some things together. But those actions are to essentially add 1 material, commodity, or good unit to any track, or add 1 worker to a building, any building, or build a building such that there are no rail connections at all, neither complete nor half, between it and the buildings adjacent to it. So for that one, essentially it lets me build a building illegally. I cannot have any rails, no half rails, no full rails pointing to the right thing. So I essentially have to build a building in a corner that it doesn't really fit, and that will let me kind of get that going where I need to get it going. So that is how that works. Also, I didn't realize all this was crooked. I'm sorry. I think it's my camera got rotated, but it's fine. It'll be alright. So that is how that works. So the manager die is something I can use to essentially allow me to get a bonus action. The cost of doing such a thing is whatever the market die is. So I'm ignoring the whole, first action is free, second action costs $1, all that stuff. And it allows me to also just maybe build things out better if I get stuck in a corner. So that is how that works. So that is essentially all the rules for the game. The game ends after the round track. Oh no, that's all the rules. Let me talk more deeply about the years track over here. So looking at our years track, we have these spots that I mentioned before, that when we hit them at the end of the round, something will happen. So on this symbol, this first symbol, what happens is I will check to see if I have any building on my board, so any building on my board that is overstaffed, any building except for Central Factory, and if it is overstaffed, then I will have to pay. I will have to pay money to the game equal. Sorry, I have to pay money equal to half what the market die is. So I have to pay money equal to half what the market die is. In this case, it will cost me $1 if there's a building overstaffed. And if I do not do that, the worker goes down. The worker die goes down to 1. So let's suppose that this building here, for some reason, had 6 workers on it. It could have 4 workers. This building only wants 3 workers, but let's suppose it has 6. For some reason, it has 6 workers on it. Actually, a reasonable reason that it will have 6 on it is if I try to do this. I'm trying to get people moved over into this building over here. It's not fully staffed, and this building up here is not fully staffed. So I want 2 workers up here, and I want 2 workers down here. And this one, actually, yeah, it only goes high 6. So let's say that that's what the board state looks like, and this is a reasonable layout here. So what I would want to do, or what I would have to do, if I am kind of caught off guard and the kind of pay your overstaffed buildings symbol comes up, if I'm caught off guard and that happens, what I would do is I would need to pay the half the market die. So I need to either pay $1 like so, or if I cannot do that, or if I refuse to do so, then what happens is the buildings that are overstaffed, they will all just go down to 1, which, you know, they go on strike, they all leave, and I kind of got to start over. It starts me back at square 1. So definitely not a great thing for me to ignore. I definitely got to be mindful of that, but that only happens if the building's overstaffed. Once again, excluding the Central Factory. The other symbol to talk about is going to be this symbol here, the little black symbol with the house on it. At the end of the round, where that symbol comes into play, I will have to pay upkeep, essentially, for all my buildings that I have. And the upkeep cost that I will have to pay will essentially be half, or sorry, not half, will be 2 other resources that were needed for the building to be built. So whether the building is producing things or not, I will need to pay 2 of the resources. So if you look at the soap works over here, the soap works, I would need to pay either 2 blue, or I can pay 1 blue and 1 orange, or I can pay 1 orange and 1 yellow. I cannot pay 2 yellow on this one because there's only 1 yellow symbol on it. And essentially, once I pay that, then all my costs, I have to do that for all my buildings that I have. And once I pay that, all my costs are there or done. If I'm not able to pay that, then what happens is for each unit of resource cost that you cannot pay, subtract 1 profit unit, 1 victory point from your track. If you cannot subtract a profit unit, profit will remain at 0. So that means that if I cannot pay for it, then I lose victory points, and I don't want to lose victory points. Sorry, victory point tracks over here. So that's what those 2 things mean. And I think that's it for the rules explanation. I think we can go ahead and just kind of get in, set up our game, and get going. So that's it. Hopefully I've covered everything, and I will definitely be referring to the rulebook as we go along, of course, as always. And if I make any mistakes, I'll try to put a comment to outline any mistakes that I have made on the board or during the game. And also feel free to let me know if there's any mistakes that you all notice that I make, because I'm bound to make a mistake. Can't say I'm perfect. I try to be, but can only do the best I can. So these cards here are double-sided. So when I set up my board, I'm essentially going to take these cards here, I'm going to shuffle, and I'm going to place the first 3 face up, and I'm going to place the last 3 face down, and then I'm going to check to see if I have at least 1 of each resource production from each building that's available for me. So 1, 2, 3, and then these are going to be flipped. 1, 2, 3. And then I check to see if I'm missing any resources, and it looks like I am. I'm missing capital from this side over here. Oops. So because of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the, I forget how the rulebook fully explains it, but I'm just going to do it this way. I'm going to start with the first building here that has a double, which is this one, and I'm going to flip it. If it has capital on this side, I'm going to keep it on this side. If it doesn't, I'm going to flip it back. So this one, I'm going to flip it. It does not have capital. And essentially, I'm going to do this until I find a building that has capital on it. And it's like, wow, none of these buildings have capital on it. Nope. Jeez, is capital rare? Huh. There's only 1 capital producing building? That's concerning. All right, there we go. Now we have all the buildings that we need. We're all initialized and all set up, and everything is set to where it needs to be set to. So we're gonna go ahead and start our playthrough. We got everything initialized. We start at 2 on every track except for capital, which we start at 4. And I will go about living my best life as trying to be the best capitalist I can, which I don't know if that's an aspiration I ever really want to have, but hey, we live in a society, so here we are. All right, so starting off on the first round, I'm not making any modifications to this game. This game has all the markers it needs because I made modifications to the previous ones with like extra dice and meeples, but yeah. So I rolled a 3, so we're gonna start with a 3 over here. And in proper order, we're going to move over to the take actions phase, and I can decide if I want to do any capital conversion, if I want to convert any of my, resource conversion, if I want to convert any of my resources into profit or victory points. I don't think I would like to do that at this time, so I'm going to assume that I don't want to do that. Let's see. I can convert 1 blue, so blue is 1 to 1 right now. I'm pretty sure I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to ignore that for now. It might have been beneficial, but I'm not gonna. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the option to hire or move workers. There is no worker for me to hire or move because I have nothing to move or hire to, so that's a pass. This, the third action that I have option for, option C, is to build a building and trigger event. I do want to build a building, and looking at our board here, because I think I am going to want a few extra actions as I go along, I think I want to build this private bank. If I build this private bank, it's going to check for year 20 to 26, and we're not on year 2026, so it should be okay. I should be in the clear to build it. It will cost me 2 yellow, 2 blue, and 1 red to build, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and just pay the cost, and I will put it over here, which is the only place it can go. So I'll pay my cost of 2 yellow, 1, 2, 2 blue, 1, 2, and 1 red, 1. And that's all paid for. Now we get our first staff on the building, and I'm not allowed to hire a worker because the previous action was where you hired workers. So what I am going to do is I'm going to try to give myself a kickstart on this. I am going to go ahead and pay the manager die. It says here the cost of the manager die is pay capital equal to the current value of the market die. Oh, I do not have enough money. I cannot. Never mind. It will cost me $3. I don't have $3, so I cannot do it. I would like to do it, but I cannot. So that's it. So I'm not going to do that. Now I'm going to go into the fourth action here, which is going to be part D of Take My Action, which is produce resources in our capital. I am going to do that because this is my second action that I'm doing. I'm going to have to pay $1 to do so. And actually, I think I will use meeples. I said I wasn't going to make any modifications, but here I am making modifications. I'm going to use some meeples to keep track of how many actions I've taken. I only have 3 meeples. I can get a 4th, but I don't feel like getting up right now, so I'm just gonna keep it there. To the side. So this is my second action. No, yeah. My first action is free. My second action cost me $1, and then my third action would cost me $2. Third action would cost me $2, and fourth action would cost me $4. So I'm doing a second action. It cost me $1. I paid my $1. Now we're going to produce resources, which is essentially just 1 of everything. And that's it. And now we move on to the cleanup phase, the upkeep / record time pass. There are no triggers for round 0 or year 0. And there's nothing to look at here, so we're going to move our marker down. And we're going to re-roll our marker die to start round 2. So we rolled a 5. That's going to be a little annoying because I really do want to use my manager die if I can. But at the very least, I get to do some stuff here. So in this one, I can convert blues into profit for 1 to 1 or reds for 1 to 1. I'm trying to look ahead to see if I want to build anything in particular. And given how these arrows are pointing, it looks like it's going to be a little bit rough to get some of these buildings out. But something I can manage. I think it would be beneficial to try to build this building. So I don't think I'm going to do any conversions because I think I need all my resources. Actually, no, I take it back. I will do conversions. Nope, I take it back. I will not because I have 2 reds and I have 1 blue, which is what I need for this building, and I do not have enough oranges to actually get any reasonable profit out of that, any reasonable victory points. So yeah, I'm not going to do anything in the market. We're going to move over to the second phase, which is hire workers. I am going to take that action of hire workers. I'm going to hire this worker, and I'm also going to transfer two workers. So this is going to go from 6 to 4, which is the minimum number it needs, to over here. And the reason why is because I know I'm going to build another building, so I want to transfer workers next round. So it's going to go from 2 to 4. And now this building is fully operational. I put a cube on it. I did not explain this earlier in the rules because I forgot. You only have this many cubes. If you ever have to build another building and you need a cube, you must take that cube from existing building. And when you take it from the central factory specifically, the central factory cannot regain that cube later on. So that's an important thing to note. Again, I forgot to mention it in the rules because it probably wouldn't come up often. I guess, at least not how I've been playing. So maybe I'm just not good at this game. All right, so that's all done. I've done my hire worker and moved the workers. It's and or, so I did both. And then next, I'm gonna go ahead and build a building. So it's gonna cost me $1 to do so, because it's my second action this round. And then I'm gonna build this building, which is gonna do a check for this card here, because it's gonna check the card to its right, which is gonna wrap around. And it looks like it's not going to trigger because years 20 through 26, so it should be fine. So I'm going to build the tool foundry, which is going to cost me $1, 1 brown resource, 2 reds, and 1 blue. And then I get to place it out, and I think I'm going to place it over to here, because I don't think I'm going to have many buildings pointing in that direction. See, is that a good idea? It's really only here or here. That's my 2 options. Yeah, it should be fine. Should be fine. All right. So we're going to do that. And that's going to allow us to get a cube there. And we can start. Oh, man, you know what? No, because of how I did this earlier, that means I have to put them here. Ah, shoot. I don't know if I thought that far ahead. It won't matter because none of these buildings are actually oriented in the correct way for me to put anything else down here. So this is fine. I do need, let's see, I do need arrows coming into this side. I only have 1, so I can put a building there. Yeah, okay, so we should be good. My footprint's not too affected by this, but I want to put it here because remember I transferred the extra worker over there for the purposes of getting things through. Also, did I increment my round? We're only on round 2? No. Yeah, we're in year 4. Sorry. I did not go up on that one. Did I even roll the die? I did roll the die. I remember rolling the die. Yeah, because it was a 3 before, right? Okay. Alright. I gotta keep better track of these things as I go along. I blame ADHD. Moving on. My personal problems aside. That's my second action that I've taken, and I did a build, so now we're going to move on to the last one, which I cannot do. I cannot produce any resources because I have no capital to do a third action this round, and that is unfortunate. I did not think that far ahead. So, next round I might do some conversions to get more money, get more capital, if I can. It just depends what I roll, but otherwise I'm going to be stuck for a little bit, which is very unfortunate because I would have produced a good bit of money in this round. So next round, we are going to roll our die. And we rolled a 5 again. Oh my gosh, we keep rolling 5s. Oof, this is not a good situation to be in here. I'm only going to be able to do 1 action, and that action has to be move a worker, unless I want to pay the capital penalty, which I guess, no, I do not want to pay the capital penalty, because it's going to reduce this down to 1. It's going to set me back by a lot. So, I'm not going to do any market action. I don't have any money to do so. My resources are all zeroed out except for brown, and brown is at 3 to 1. I only have 2, so I cannot do that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see if I want to hire workers or move workers. I do want to do hire and move, so I'm going to hire. This is my free action for this round, and I'm going to move this worker. So now this is at 3, and this is going to be at 3. So this is not overstaffed, which is the most important part. And then finally, we're going to check to see if I want to do production. I cannot do production because I do not have money to do an extra action this round. And I can't even do the manager because I don't have money to do so. And now that's it. Upkeep. We're going to check to see if I have any overstaffed buildings. I do not, so therefore I do not face the penalty of an overstaffed building. And we move on to the next round. So we're on to round 8, which is going to also hurt. Possibly. A 5 again? Oh my gosh, this dice is biased. This dice is biased. Clearly. I rolled 3 5s in a row. What are the chances of that? So in this one, we're in the same situation before. So I'm passing on everything except for production. On my last round, I'm going to do a production for my free action. See, if I hire a staff and I take the penalty for not being able to do the upkeep for maintenance, the penalty is I lose a victory point for every resource I cannot pay. And if it's at 0, it remains at 0. My profit's at 0. So it makes sense for me to not produce resources right now. Instead, I'm just going to go ahead and staff this building. So I'm gonna add staff as my free action this round. And now I have 3 buildings that are fully staffed, not producing anything. We're gonna skip the production because I don't have any money to do it. And we're gonna be at the end of the round. A little bit brutal, I know. And then we do our check to pay for our maintenance. I cannot pay for any of it, so I'm gonna lose a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna lose 4 victory points. I have 0. We stay at 0. We move on to the next round, and I really need this to not be a 5. Oh, okay, I'll take a 6. That actually is a little bit better, just marginally. And now that I have that, I actually don't need to do anything else except for produce, which is unfortunate. So essentially just lost, what was that, 2 turns? 2 turns-ish? That's unfortunate. So I'm going to skip through this entire round until I get to the production phase. So I'm not going to convert. I'm just going to leave it where it's at. I could convert, but I'm not going to convert because I can get 1 capital, but I don't think it's going to change much. And I'm going to skip the action of hire workers because I don't need to hire any more workers right now. I'm going to skip the building because I can't afford to build anything. And then I'm just going to do produce as my free action this round. And I have 2 yellows, so I'm going to produce $2 here and $2 there, which just feels good. And I have 2 reds, so I'm going to produce 2 here and 2 there. And I have 1 of that and 1 of that. And that's it for this round. Pretty fast moving game, I say. I rolled a 1. Finally, things are looking up for me. So I rolled a 1, and on this one for overstaffed buildings, I'm going to lose money, or have to pay money. So I do not want to overstaff my buildings if I can help it. So I will try to avoid doing so. So for my capital conversion or profit conversion, I think it's time to convert some things into capital. Into capital so I can have more actions. So I have 4 reds and I have 4 yellows. So I think reds is going to be $1, 1 to 1. I think I'm going to take 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 as capital. And let's do 2, 1, 2, these other 2 as profit. So I have 2 victory points now. So I'm finally on the board. Congrats to me. It took me a few years to become in the positive, but here I am, finally. And that's going to be my conversion, and that was my free action this round. My next action is going to cost me $1 if I want to do, and that action I was going to build, but I forgot I had to spend $1 to do so. I want to build the boots and shoe. Can I even build the boots and shoe? I can. I can, in fact, build the boots and shoe. And it'll give me some blue. I kind of want to build this one, too. If I do, it's gonna... Actually, I can't, because I don't have the blue resources, so... Alright, looks like I'm building this one, which means we're going to check our year count for this one over here, 16 to 22, and we're in year 12, so we're in the blue, or we're in the good, I should say. Oh no. So that's all set. So that's my action. It's going to cost me 2 capital. Oh, sorry, cost me $1 to do, because I did do the first action conversion, so it cost me $1 to do. and then that's going to cost me 1, 2 to get that, pay for that. It's going to cost me 1, 2 to pay for that. It's going to cost me 1 to pay for that. And I've officially purchased that building and built it. So looking good. And for my third action, I cannot afford a third action, but I can afford to spend a manager die, which is what I was banking on. So I am going to spend the manager die, and that's going to allow me to it's not that powerful, is it? It's going to allow me to add a worker. So it's going to cost me a capital to do so, which I'll hopefully be able to solve later. Actually, oof, I don't want to be zeroed out. You know what? No, I'm not going to do that. It sucks because it costs $1 to do, but I really shouldn't do that right now. It'll be a little bit greedy of me to do. So I am going to opt to not do that. All right, I guess we're done with this round. And then we're going to check to see if there's any buildings that are overstaffed. There are none, so therefore nothing happens. We're going to round 14, which I might be around 14 already. I just haven't moved it. I don't know, but we're going to assume I'm around 14 now. Next round, we rolled a 4. And I will convert this 1 brown resource into a capital. And that will give me a little bit more flexibility here, because I do need to produce, because next round I'm going to have to pay for overstaffed and pay for building maintenance. So I need to make sure I have resources for that building maintenance. Okay. Action 1, oh, so that was action 1 because I did a conversion. Action 2, I am going to take action 2, which will be to produce. I'm not going to hire a worker over there. I want to hire a worker, but I'm not gonna. I'm going to do production because it's going to cost me $1 to do a second action this round. And production is going to produce. Oh, you know what? I'm such an idiot. I forgot about this money over here. This whole time I could have done multiple actions because I have money over here. I'm such a fool. Such a fool. Because there's more than 1 capital track, so I forgot about that. Okay, so in that case, I am going to do the action of hire workers and move people around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's going to cost me $1 because it's my second action, which I think I just moved it. And let me see, can I hire a worker in each building or just 1? It says rotate the worker die on 1 building up to 1, showing that you, okay, that's only 1 building up to 1. Fine. So I'll rotate this up there. And that is my hire action. Not very climactic, kind of anticlimactic. Is it worth me moving a worker to the blue? I don't think so. I think I need a lot of reds because I want to build this too. Probably not this round, but maybe the next round. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. I can do this, and this, and then do an extra move. That's risky. That's risky. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm gonna keep it like it is. I'm not gonna do anything fancy. I'm gonna stay very risk averse here because I really don't want to lose a few more turns. You know, really do not want to lose a few more turns. So we're gonna cut it at that. That's gonna be it for that action. And now we move on to the third action. I'm gonna take this round, which is gonna cost me $2, which I have $2. So 1, 2, and that means that I get to do a production, which I have 2 yellow tracks. So we're gonna get 1, 2, 1, 2. We have 1 brown track. We have 2 red tracks that are active. So 1, 2, 1, 2. And we only have 1 active blue track, so it's going to be a 1. So I have some resources for next round. That's it. We move our round marker. We roll a die. And now we are on to the 16. So that is going to be a 5. I can do some conversions of blues and reds at a good price. I don't think I really need. Let's see. How many actions do I want to take? I want to do a hire, and I want to do a produce. So if I want to do a hire and a produce, I need at least $1. And if I also want to do a conversion, I need $3. And if I also want to build a building, I will need $4. So I would need 4 capital plus 2, so 6 capital, which, Let's see if I can get that. I have 3 reds. I have 4 reds, so I can spare 1 red. I need 6 capital. And then browns, I cannot spare any browns because I need that 1 brown to build this. Where would I put this? I'll put this up here. Is there a better building for me to put up here? Because I think I only have 1 building I can put up somewhere. Is this one better than that one? Oh, this one's a red. I want a brown. Yeah, I want this one instead. Okay, so that changes the calculus a lot. I do need a blue, which I do not have, which means that I'm going to be a little bit stuck there. Same thing for this situation. I'm going to be stuck there. So I'm not going to be able to build these buildings. I can build this one, but I don't know if I really want to build that red building. I do really want to build one of these brown buildings, preferably this one, because it has more brown spots on it. And it's worth more points at the end of the game, although this one's worth 8 points too. I also need to check the events because this one is technically right here. I can condense that since we were down to 3 cards. So it's year 20 to 26 is what this one's going to trigger if I build it. So I think for this round, I'm just going to go ahead and just plan to produce next round and then build a building and then pay the cost for it afterwards. It's going to be a little bit rough, but that's going to be the plan here. That's what the calculus is telling me to do. So knowing that, I am going to convert all of my reds into money and victory points. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's going to be 4 reds converted on this conversion rate. And I think I'm going to take 1, 2 capital, and I'm going to take 2 points. 1, 2 points. So I'm at 4 victory points. Looking good. And do I want to convert anything else? The blues, I can convert the blue, but then that's going to hinder me later on. Actually, no, it won't. It won't, because I need just 1 more. Yeah, okay, I'll convert the blue as well into a victory point, because I don't think I'll need the capital, but I'll come back to bite me in the butt. Just watch. And that's good. So that's my resources conversions. Now I'm going to hire and or move workers as my second action. It's going to cost me $1 to do so, so I'll pay the $1 because it's my second action. I'm going to hire this worker, and that's all I'm going to do on that one. The next action I'm going to do is going to be produce, which is going to cost me $2. So I'll spend my $2, $1, $2, and 2 capital spent. And now that I've done that, I can do a production, which is going to give me, this one's now active, it's going to give me 2 of everything. So, oh, except for brown. Ugh, that's frustrating. It's going to give me 1 brown, 2 reds, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 yellows, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 2 blues, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that is all that's going to give me, and we're at the end of the round. Move this up. So we're going to pay for overstaffing and also pay for our buildings. And the market die is going to give us a 1. Perfect. I like 1s. 1s are good. I was going to break some rules here, which is going to be even better for my builds, because I can sneakily build a building with one of my managers here. So do I want to do any conversions? If I want to do a sneak build, actually I can do the sneak build first and then do everything else, because I can do it at any time during my take actions. So I will do that. I will spend one of my manager pips, and I will spend $1, 1 capital, to give myself a free action. And that free action will be to build a building and then not follow any of the rail line rules, which is even more convenient because these buildings are not in the right orientation for me anyway. So if I put this building down here, scoop this over. If I put this building down here, then it's not following any of the rail rules, and that's what it says. It says build a building such that there are no rail connections at all, neither half nor complete, or neither complete nor half, between it and the buildings adjacent to it. So no arrows between them. The building is subject to all costs and events per rules. Ooh, I forgot about the events. Oh no, we're doing an event. Oh no, I forgot about the events part. Actually, I don't want to build that one anyway. I want to build this one. Yeah, take that, society. This one triggers on 20 to 26. So because I'm building this one here, it's going to check to the right, which is this. It's going to wrap around. It's going to be 20 to 26 because I wanted to build the one with the 5, although I don't think I can build that one. Ah, that's tough. Shoot. So this is the one that I can build with my manager die. This one I have to build normally. Is it worth going through all that trouble of doing the manager die that way then? You know what? I'm not going to spend the manager die. Because it makes more sense to just build this one normally instead of doing that, because it's gonna cause some heartache, which is unfortunate. Because by virtue of doing the build out of order, so building it first, you know, not following the rules, and then having the option to hire workers afterwards, and then still use and then do all the other stuff, means that I'll be able to get more workers in here faster. And this one needs 5 workers to be fully staffed for the victory points at the end of the game. That's going to be a little bit difficult to achieve. Actually, considering that, I think it might be worth building it anyway. I know I'm kind of flip-flopping back and forth, but it's kind of the expanse of the decision, you know? In alternative, I could build this one, get it fully staffed, give me more points, and also it'll allow me to connect this one to it later, which I have a little bit of time for. But also, all things considered, I had to pay for my resource. You know what? No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna build. Not gonna build. All right, that's out of the mind. Moving on. We can do some conversions though, and let's see. It's gonna be 1-to-1 for brown and red, and 3-to-1 for blue. So I don't think I need that much. I need to have 2 resources for this one, 2 resources for this one, 2 for that one. So let's say I have 3 yellows committed to these 3, and I can do blue, blue, and blue. Perfect. So 3 yellows and 2 blues and 1 red. Okay, so 3 yellows to pay for the upkeep, and then 2 blues to pay for the upkeep, and then one brown. Alright, so knowing that, I'm going to go ahead and spend all but 1 red. Actually, I'm going to spend all my red, so 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'm going to convert these into victory points, because I need to start getting victory points. That's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I am doing this action. And then I'm also going to convert blues, so 1 of each. Nope, I lied, because it's a 3-to-1. That's a bad conversion rate. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. All right, next action I'm taking is I'm going to do the production, because I'm not going to build. I'm going to do a production, and the production is going to give me, it's going to cost me $1. Let's pay me $1, and then I produce my stuff. Actually, it's going to cost me $1. And I'm going to produce my stuff, so 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1. And then finally, we pay for our penalties. And actually, all that considered, I should have just converted all my resources, now thinking about it. I forgot I'm going to be producing all these resources here. But so we said we're going to pay 1 capital and 1 blue for this one. So 1 capital and 1 blue. And for this building, we're going to pay 1 capital and 1 blue. And for this building, we're going to pay 1 capital and finally 1 blue. Actually, I'm going to do this. Okay. And I could still do my special action now that I paid for all that. Actually, no, it's too late because I haven't done the upkeep and record keeping. So, nope, that's all done. I had no overstaffed building, so I don't have to worry about that one. Round 20. It's going to roll our die again. It's a 4. So we got a 1-to-1 for brown, and then a 2-to-1 for everything else. So 1-to-1 for brown and 2-to-1 for everything else. I do want to try to build this building this round, now that I don't have to pay for upkeep until a few rounds from now. So I want to build this one legitimately, because I kind of have to. It's going to cost me to move a cube, which is okay, but that's a price I'm willing to pay. So let's build this one. So what do we need? We need 3 yellows. We got yellow. We got a lot of yellows. We need at least 1 brown. We got the brown. And 2 blues, which we will have the 2 blues just barely. So we want to convert our browns down. Let's do 1, 2. and convert those into 2 victory points. 1, 2, because excess we don't need. And let's move on to our next phase, which our next phase is going to be, we're going to do a build. So we're not doing a hire, we are going to do the build. And the build is going to allow me to build this building. We check years 20 through 26. Oh, that is year 20, isn't it? Shoot. Again, I always forget about that. Year 20, you may add 1 worker to 1 die on each fully staffed building at the cost of 1 capital unit per worker. That's actually not bad. I actually like that. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. It says you may. So does that trigger before or after I build? After the building is built, you trigger the events. Perfect. Also, sorry this is a little bit crooked, but like my camera's a little bit crooked too. So also it's a little bit of a fisheye effect there. So yeah, my apologies for everybody who's watching this and feeling the rage of everything not being fully kind of straight and stuff. So yeah, we built the building first. So we pay our costs. It's going to cost me 3 yellows. So 1, 2, 3, and 1 brown. And it's going to cost me 2 blues. So 1 blue, 2 blue. And I got my staff. And now we do this one. It says you may add 1 worker to 1 die on each fully staffed building. Oh, it says fully staffed. Shoot. Okay. Well, that's annoying. That's fine. It's annoying, but it's fine. So I'm going to add 1 worker to this die, and I'm going to pay 1 capital for it. There's no need for me doing anything else except for that one, because this one can transfer, and I need to get 5 people in there. So it's going to take me a while to get this one online. And that's it. So we're all done. We're all done with that. We're at the end of the round. Upkeep, we just moved the round marker. And I am not going to, well, I could use this to hire somebody. It's going to cost me 4 capital, which I don't think is really worth it. Nah, I'm not going to do it. All right. Next round. It's a 1. Perfect. Good timing. I like that. That's good. Well done. Well done, game. So my first action, let's see, do I want to do any conversions? Oh, I didn't produce. I wanted to produce last round, so it's going to cost me 2 capital, since it'll be my 3rd action that I take. And then I produce, which is going to give me 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. The second one gets wasted. 1, 2, and then 1. And then 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. All right, looking much better. Okay, now we're on this round. So do I want to do any conversions is a big question. I think I do with red. I need 3 reds to build this building if I want to build it. I don't know if I want to build this building though. I could build it up here or up there. That's going to limit me being able to build this one though. In all reality, I just want to build these buildings for victory points. I don't know if I have enough time to add the workers to it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to convert everything into victory points, and then produce, and then try to get this building online, and then try to get these guys here. Because I can only add 1 worker to 1 building at a time. I cannot add multiple workers unless I had that event trigger again, which it won't. So I think it makes more sense for me to not do that. Although, in hindsight, if I built this building, it will trigger this again. Because we're between the years of 20 and 26. And that's actually not awful. That's actually a good plan. Okay. So I do want to build this building. Just for the purposes of triggering that event. To get this building back up and running. So knowing that information, I do want to build this one. I guess I can try to build this one illegally. Using my staff die, which I haven't used at all. Because the dice values have been too expensive. So I will do a improper build. So before I do all my conversions and before I do all that stuff on the first round, I'm going to spend $1, 1 capital. I don't know if that's on 5 or 4. I'm assuming it's on 4. I'm spending $1 to spend 1 pip to allow me to do a improper build. Oh. That's annoying. The only improper place I can put it is here, which is in the way. Alright. Once again, thwarted by the fact that I'm not going to do that because it makes more sense to build this normally instead of building it illegally. I really want to do an illegal build just to show you guys the manager die is cool, but it keeps not being cool. So I guess I'll just do the expenditure. I'll spend 1 worker and $1 to get this up by 1 because this needs a lot of work. So I'm done with that. Moving on, do I want to do any conversions is a big question. The answer is yes. And I want to do 4 red conversions. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to give me 4 victory points. I don't think I need money down here. So I think I'm okay kind of cashing in some of the resource conversions into victory points. Alright, so that's all done for that. I'm going to move on to the next phase, which for me is going to be, if I want to hire a worker, I do want to hire a worker, which is going to cost me $1, because it's my second action. And I'm going to hire a worker here, and I am going to transfer this worker as part of that over to there. So we're almost up and running on this building. And then my third action, I will do a produce, which is going to cost me $2. So 1, 2. And that's going to be a production for everything. Oh, actually, no, I lied. I'm going to do a build, which is this. Oh, I forgot about the builds. Oh no, that's going to mess up my production. Boo. Famous last words. I don't think I need any money, guys. I'm fine. I don't need money. Just like a little flashback to show my shame. So this is my third action, which is going to be a build. Because I do want to get this building built to trigger this event, which I have the money for. I don't think that's really worth it, to be honest, at this point. I got a whole nother round I can do this in. You know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait because I want to do a produce this round to get my resources back up, and that's gonna be much better for me. So we're gonna do a third action, spend the $2, 1, 2. I don't know if I already spent it, but if I did, then I spent it twice, whatever. And then we're gonna produce 1, 2, 1, 2. This is what happens when you have indecisive persons like me playing a board game. 1 there, and then this is gonna go to waste. Why did I not? Oh, because I thought I was gonna build that this round. That goes to waste. This goes up 1, 2. This goes up 1. This goes up 1. That was unfortunate. A little bit waste of resources there because of indecision. And that's it. So I'm going to be done for the round. Nothing to check. Move up. Roll a die. A 1 again. Oh my gosh, this is great. Okay, cool, perfect. Now I want a 1. This is a good time to have a 1. Because then I can do 2 builds and get both of these built and then maybe get them fully staffed. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. So in this round, I am going to do conversions. Yes. So I am going to convert. And it's going to be 1-to-1 for brown and a 1-to-1 for red. So I'm going to convert 2 reds, 1, 2, into 2 points. 1, 2, because that makes sense to me. And I'm actually kind of curious as to how somebody gets like 1 billion points in this game, because like the money conversion, am I doing this right? Seems like I'm doing it right. Yep. I don't know. I guess you just got to be really good at capitalism to get those high points, huh? So I'm just maybe I'm just bad at this game. I don't know. We'll keep going. We're already here. We're already here. We're making it through. We are making it through. So I did the conversions for the reds. I do not want to do it for the browns. Well, I can do it for 1 for the browns, so I will. And for the blues, I can do it for the blues. I should do it for the blues too, because they're just holding me up. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's 6 victory points. So from 18 to 24. Okay, good move. And that's it for that one. So I've done all my conversions. Now we're going to move into my second action, which is going to be to hire, which is going to cost me $1. And it's going to get this up and running. And now that this is here, I now have to choose which of these cubes I'm going to move over into this building. Which actually, does that affect my production thing? Let me see. 'Cause I don't know if that affects how my production is going to work. I don't think there's an example in the rulebook. So the rulebook for production, it says increase the matching resource capital track on every staffed track among your building cards. Each track is limited to its maximum value. If your central factory is fully staffed, it will thus increase capital, commodities, materials, and goods by 1 step for every fully staffed building. It says fully staffed building. So because of that, I think if I remove the cube from this blue and put it over here like that, because it's fully staffed, then this is still going to go up 2 every turn that I produce. The question is, do I want to do that for blue or do I want to do it for red? I think I'm going to do that for red. Because red is going to be... Oh, I don't want to do it on that track. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oof. That is awful. Because I want to spend those resources first, don't I? Ugh. All right. I'm not doing that. Once again, undoing my turn because I want to hire. I want to build. Sorry, I want to do the hire as a staff action, as a manager action. That way, I can take advantage of my resources here without losing a track inefficiently. All right, unfortunate. Okay, moving on. Lots of indecision here. Living life like it's golden. So we're not going to hire any workers. We are going to do build a building, and that's going to cost me $1. And we're going to build this building because that triggers this event, which is what we really want. And we're going to put this building over here. We can put it doesn't matter where we put it, honestly. We're going to put it here, and that's going to give us this effect after we build it. So I'm going to pay for it first. So it's going to cost me 2 yellows. So 1, 2 yellows, and it's going to cost me 3 reds. It's going to cost me 1 brown. And that's all paid for. And now that we've done that, overstaffed buildings are going to be a thing. But now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and trigger this event, which will allow us to add 1 worker to any 1 dime by paying 1 capital. It'll be the same as using a manager, but I'm just going to do it this way. Actually, knowing that, I'm just going to do it this way and pay $1. And then from there, oh man, because I'm running out of capital. I'm not gonna be able to produce until next round, which I really need to produce next round to pay for my maintenance. This is not looking good, y'all. So I am gonna build this as much as I'm yelling in my head that I don't want to do it. I am gonna build this. And I am going to not take advantage of the effect, which is the whole point of me building that, because I really wanted to get my buildings staffed up. Because it's either produce now and then have something to do later, or do this now and have a building to produce, but then my next round is going to be kind of wasted on just pure production because I have no money. I'll have no money. Unless I can do conversions. No, I have nothing to convert because everything's at 0 except for my capital. Ugh. Tough decisions here. All right, I'm not going to take advantage of the event as much as I want to. I'm not going to take advantage of the event. Instead, I'm going to do a third action, which is going to cost me $2, and I'm going to produce, which is going to give me all the resources I need to... sucks because the whole point of me doing that was to get things in place for better tracks. So we've increased all of our stuff. We're done with this round. This godforsaken round. Nothing's overstaffed. Is that a 4? Nothing's overstaffed. Yeah, we're all good. This is overstaffed, but it doesn't count for that. So we move on to the next round. Rolling our die. Hopefully it's a 1 again. It's a 2. I'll take it. All right. So for this one, we get to do conversions of browns. I don't really want to build this building. So I think I'm just going to ignore it completely, and I'm going to convert all my browns into. I got to cover upkeep. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to spend 10 resources to get my buildings upkept properly or lose some victory points. So knowing that, what can I spend? Can I spend what's already out here? How much capital can I spend? I can spend 2 capital for this, 2 capital for this, 2 capital for that, 2 capital for that, and one capital for that. So I need 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I need 9 capital and 1 of any resource, any other resource. So I need to get 9 capital dollars, which means I can convert everything into dollars until I get there. I'm currently sitting at 2 and 2, so I need 5 more capital dollars and 1 of any other resource, and everything else can be converted into victory points. This round is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to produce, I guess. And, oh, knowing that I'm going to produce, actually that's going to change the calculus, isn't it? Because I'm going to produce 4 capital dollars. So that means I can have 4 more victory points. And I should be able to afford everything else, as long as I have at least 5 capital dollars. So what that means mathematically is that I can convert everything except for red into money. I can convert red too, but it's going to be cost inefficient, so I'm not going to do it that way. So I'm going to convert this into a dollar, and then I'm going to convert everything else into victory points. So 1, 2, 3, 4 victory points. And I am going to convert this red, so 1, 2, 3. I know I said I wasn't going to, but I'm gonna, to get 1 more victory point. And that should be set for everything else. So I've done that action. Oh no, I did math wrong. Wait. Because I'm taking 2 actions, so I need 1 more dollar. So that's not going to be a victory point, those 3 reds that I converted. That's going to be an extra dollar, because I got to take a second action. Right. Okay, cool. Well done. Now that's done, we're going to take our second action, which is this. Take our second action this round, and that's going to cost me $1. And we're going to produce. So we're skipping straight to production. We're not hiring any workers. We could have hired workers, couldn't we? Yeah, we do want to hire workers, so I'm going to lose 2 victory points. Normally, the victory points are stuck where they're stuck. Oops, that's wrong. What's that, 28? 1, 2. Why is it tracked like that? Have I been keeping track of that properly? No, it's bothering me. So we lost 2 victory points. Instead of converting to victory points, we're converting to capital, because I need to have enough capital to be able to take another action. And this is what the math is mathing out to be. So I need at least $5 left over. So I currently have 5, 7. So I need at least $5 left over. So I paid for my second action already, which is why I think that's at 7 currently. And then my action of production is going to be that. Okay. So on this action, we're going to hire a worker. And we're going to hire that worker. And we're going to move this cube over here. So now this one no longer produces on that track, so I can no longer keep track of it there. But like I said before, the rule book says for each building, sorry, my hair's everywhere. This building it says for each building that is fully staffed and is producing that resource, then I can increase it by 1. Again, I don't know if that's a misinterpretation of the rules. I hope it's not, but it would make more sense, and especially if they consider, or if they expect me to be able to score 160 points somehow. So again, I might be playing it wrong, but hopefully I'm not. Moving on. That's based on my interpretation of rules. So that is it for the hire worker. So this one's fully staffed and ready to go. And now we're going to spend $2, 1, 2, to produce. And we're going to produce 1, 2, 1, 2. And this one's going to produce 1, 2 for red, 1, 2 for red, and then 1, 2 for blue, 1, 2 for blue, and then finally 1, 2 for this lone brown track. Okay. And now that we've completed all that, we go into the last part of the round, which is to pay for maintenance, which is every building I have to pay at least 2 of the resources from there. So I'm paying 2 yellow, 2 yellow, 2 yellow, 2 yellow. So I'm paying $8 in yellow. 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm paying 1 yellow here. My last cat. Oh, I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to pay... Because I want to be able to have actions for next round. Actually, no, I will. I'm paying 1 yellow from here, and then 1 of another resource, which I guess I'm going to do red. Okay, that was expensive, but hey, this is what it costs. This is what it costs to be a boss. Rolling the die for the next round. It's a 1, perfect. So that means that I can do a nice, clever staffing action. And we have some good conversions here for our stuff. Since we're not really concerned about doing this, we just want to have enough money to do our actions and do a production. So we want to do a conversion, we want to do a hire, so we can get this up, and we want to do a trade, produce, and we also want to do a staffing action. So I need 1, 3, I need $4. Everything else can be profit. So I need $4, everything else can be profit. So that's going to give me an idea where I need to go. So $4 reduce is what I need. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my 4, and everything else can be profit. And I think I will make everything else profit. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and ooh, that blue conversion is not looking great, but I'll do it. So 1, 2, 3. That gives me another victory point. And I think that's it. All right. So now we move on to the next part. So we did our free action. Next one, we're going to do a hire action, which is going to cost me $1. And we're going to hire here. And we're not going to transfer anybody around or shift anybody through because we don't have many people left. And then my last action, or next to last action, besides the staffing action, is to do a produce. So I'm going to spend 1, 2 to produce. That's going to give me 2 browns. So it's going to give me 2 reds here, 2 reds there. So it's going to give me 2 blues there and 2 blues there. So it's going to give me 2 yellows there and 2 yellows there. And this one's not staffed, so it's fine. And then finally, I'm going to spend a manager. It's going to cost me $1 to do so. Oh, I didn't spend my 2 for that action. So it cost me $1 to do so. Oh, look, I have an extra $1. Nice. I did not math properly. And I'm going to hire a worker over here. So this one's almost fully staffed. So we're almost there for our extra 8 points there. And that's it. So now we're moving on to the last round. The last round of this game. And we rolled a 3. So it's going to be blues are going to be good conversions, which is actually perfect. Got a lot of blues. And I don't think I need anything except for just cashing out everything. I have enough money to take at least 2 actions. So I think I'll just kind of keep it at that. My first action is going to be free. I'm going to do conversions. I'm converting as much as I can to consolidate my monies. So this is going to be 1, 2 for a victory point. And then 1, 2 for a victory point for the blue. Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. Sorry. I spent $4. I'm gonna spend. Sorry, I spent 4 blues for 2 points. I meant to spend 5 blues for 5 points because I was looking at this track, not that track. So I need 3 more points. 1, 2, 3. And then reds are a 2 conversion. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's gonna give me 2 points. 1, 2. And finally, browns are gonna give me 2 to 1. So 1, 2. That's gonna give me 1 point. I almost broke 40, y'all. I'm so close to breaking 40. I don't think I'll break 40. At least not without adding all the points for my buildings here. Okay. Second action I'm taking is I'm going to spend $1 to do a hire action. Actually, ooh, wait, hold on. Yeah, no, we're good. I'm gonna do a hire action, like so. And now this building is fully staffed, and I will gladly take this marker and put it over there. Look at me go. And I'm not going to do anything else. That's going to be the end of the game. And we check for overstaffed buildings. There are no overstaffed buildings. That is it. That is the end of the game. I end the game with 37 victory points and whatever points are on my cards here. So let me go ahead and bring out the handy dandy app to add it up. Oops. Go away. Thank you. Empire. And score sheet. So we have 37 points showing. And then we have everything is fully staffed. So we're going to get victory points for all the buildings. So we have 8 plus 8. 8 plus 8 plus 6 plus 7 plus 6. So my final score is going to be 72, which doesn't sound very high, but let's see how the rulebook says I did. Yeah, 72 is pretty low. It is actually quite low in this game, man. Again, maybe I'm doing some scoring things wrong, I don't really know, but I at least have proprietor with my score 72. So that's it. Looks like I am just a sad little proprietor over there. Not really doing much on my score. And yeah, that's going to be it. So that's how my empire was built. Apparently I'm not really good at the capitalism. I just hoard resources. I spent just about everything though, so I feel pretty good about that. It's just getting there. Getting there was a little rough. Getting there was a little rough. So it's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you all whenever. Oh, sorry, before I fully go out, sorry. The next video is gonna be a review of this game, so be sure to check out the review. Okay, and then all the things I just said. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, I will see you all whenever.